morning. It's Wednesday, May 6th, 2020. Woke up this morning like happy Wednesday, yay. All right, today your homework is Wednesday. You are doing 5, 6, 9, 12, and 15 in Go Formative for volcano erupts. We are also going to be going into our standards next, but I figured you could see me. All right, our focus. So, what is our focus for today? Our focus is we're going to describe in depth a character, setting, or event in a story or drama, drawing on specific details in the text. Next, your learning target for today. So, what is your target for today? The student will be able to draw on specific details in the text in order to describe in depth characters, settings, and events. Don't forget, you're not drawing on a piece of paper. You are kind of inferencing information based on the information that was explained to you in the text. And we're also doing it in depth. So in depth means in great detail. You need to have that explicit support to go ahead and support your thinking for why you said something. Our essential questions for today are: what are character traits? How do I describe characters in depth? What are events? And how do I describe events in depth? Remember, in depth means in detail. So if I'm going to say this girl is sneaky, well, what in the text explicitly did it state for why you thought that? Okay. Going into our elements of a story, vocabulary. Remember, you could go ahead and sing and dance as you please because nobody is watching you.
Check it out, yo. Yeah. Setting, that's like where it's going down. Could be the train compartment, a castle, or a town. Could be the Arctic winter, like to build a fire. The temperature's dropping, excitement's getting high. Setting sets the scene, so the scene seems set. Could be an Italian restaurant where we met. Setting gives us the where and the when. Could be modern day, the future, or way back when. Plot, character, conflict, theme, setting. Yes, these are the 5 things that you're gonna be needing when you're reading or writing a short story that's mad exciting. Plot, character, conflict, theme, setting. Yes, these are the 5 things that you're gonna be needing when you're reading or writing a short story that's mad exciting. Plot is the action, the quest for satisfaction. What's going down, what's going to happen? 4 men at sea in an open boat, rowing and hoping that they can stay afloat. The plot, they had to make it to the beach, but the waves are big and the shore seems out of reach. Plot is a series of events like Lemony Snicket. It could be crazy, wild, or straight wicked. Plot, character, conflict, theme, setting. Yes, these are the 5 things that you're gonna be needing when you're reading or writing a short story that's mad exciting. Plot, character, conflict, theme, setting. Yes, these are the 5 things that you're gonna be needing when you're reading or writing a short story that's mad exciting. Knock, knock. Who's there? Oh, it's the characters, the people in the story who carry out the action. Characters can be pretty tiny or clean. Characters can be silly, whiny, or mean. Juliet is a character, and so is Romeo. Pokemon has characters, and so does Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters can be dogs, lions, or hippos. J.K. Rowling chose Harry Potter. Who knows? Plot, character, conflict, theme, setting. Yes, these are the 5 things that you're gonna be needing when you're reading or writing a short story that's mad exciting. Plot, character, conflict, theme, setting. Yes, these are the 5 things that you're gonna be needing when you're reading or writing a short story that's mad exciting. Put your snack back in your backpack, we're not finished. Something gone wrong. That's the conflict, kids. A struggle in the plot. Now who's on top? Could be a fight for money like some robbers and cops. Could be an internal conflict, a struggle inside. Like I don't want to tell the truth, but I don't ever want to lie. Flick something in your eye, now you're conflicted. What created drama? The conflict did. Plot, character, conflict, theme, setting. Yes, these are the 5 things that you're gonna be needing when you're reading or writing a short story that's mad exciting. Plot, character, conflict, theme, setting. Yes, these are the 5 things that you're gonna be needing when you're reading or writing a short story that's mad exciting. The theme of the story is the main idea, the central belief, or the topic that's in there. It's usually something abstract like sacrifice, isolation, and resurrection. We back to life. Like don't lie, don't practice libel. The theme of To Build a Fire is survival. Survivor on your own like 5-0. What? Vocabulary, something that you have to get. Character, conflict, theme, setting. Yes, these are the 5 things that you're gonna be needing when you're reading or writing a short story that's mad exciting. Character, conflict, theme, setting. Yes, these are the 5 things that you're gonna be needing when you're reading or writing a short story that's mad exciting.
Sorry, got a little into it there for you. I was singing and dancing because nobody was watching me. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and go into our notes where we're focusing on character traits. Remember, when we're looking for something with character traits, we're looking for the actions that the character does, the thoughts that the character thinks, the dialogue or what the character says throughout the whole experience, along with everything else. So let's go ahead and get into this. Our notes. So what are character traits? Well, character traits are used to describe a character's personality. You know, Miss Diaz has the crazy, wild personality. So you would describe me, and then you could use examples to go ahead and describe why you say that about me or why you say it about the character. It's not their feelings for happy, sad, or angry, but it might depict some of that through maybe their tone or the mood that it's depicting, okay? How do I describe a character in depth? You look for the details and the examples. Remember, details are the specific things that it says, and the examples are using the words for like the characteristics to help you understand it. Authors are very good at this, and sometimes it actually forces you to infer. I'm actually going to say most of the time, because you have to think about it and then pull your schema in for why do you think that, based on what the text said explicitly. We have the thoughts and feelings of the character. Feelings, what do they feel? Okay. We have what are the character thinking or feeling, the actions, what are the character doing, and the dialogue, what the character is saying, whether they're saying it to somebody or to themselves. Why is describing a character in depth important? Well, if you can understand a character in depth, that means you understand the character, the ins and the outs of the character, so you understand it all. Next, understanding characters allows you to make connections between the characters and the events of a story. It even helps you determine the theme. Who would have known? Okay, going into our problem solved, we still have the same thing. So remember what we're looking for here. All good readers recall details so that they could summarize and make those connections with it. We want to think about, before we read, who are the characters in the story? What do you know about the characters in the story? And what important events happened in the story? And remember, events always happen in order. Next, here's some questions that are going to have to be answered based on the text. So you're going to have which word best describes the old man, and which event led to the neighbors accepting the rooster's crowing. So there's 2 different questions here that we're focused on. One would be for the character, and one will be for events. Okay, so when we're going into this, we're looking for the details that help us understand the character, the thoughts, actions, words. So we're also looking for like that problem and solution type thing with the character. So think of cause and effect. So let's go ahead and get into the reading of the text. So once there was an old man, he had a rooster that crowed every morning. The neighbors did not like this, so they came to visit the old man. They talked to him about his rooster. They asked the old man if he could get his rooster to be quiet. The old man replied that he couldn't get rid of the rooster, but he promised to fix the situation within a week. The following morning, the rooster crowed and the donkey was braying. It was very loud. The neighbors came straight to the old man and complained. The old man reminded them that he promised quiet in a week. The neighbors went back home. The next morning, the rooster, the donkey, and now a cow made a lot of noise. The cow could moo as loud as the donkey could bray, and the rooster could crow. These loud noises woke all the neighbors up, and they complained bitterly to one another. This continued each day for a week. Each morning, a new animal would join the noise. The noise grew louder and louder. And by the end of the week, the neighbors marched to the old man and demanded that he fix the noise. The old man promised that all would be quiet in the morning. The following morning, only the rooster remained. He crowed just once, and the neighbors couldn't believe it. The morning was so peaceful and calm. They went to thank the old man for his kindness. So remember what those questions were. We're looking at the old man and what events led to the neighbors being okay with the rooster. So we have the old man replied that he couldn't get rid of the rooster, but he promised to fix the situation. We also have the next morning a rooster and a donkey was crowed and was braying. We also have the old man reminded them that he would have them quiet in a week. We also have that each morning he added a new animal to join that noise. So eventually they continued complaining, and the old man promised that all would be quiet in the morning. Well, the following morning, only the rooster was left, or he remained. So the neighbors couldn't believe it. They went to thank the old man for his kindness. Like, what did he really do, right? Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the character of the old man. So what were some of his thoughts that he had? The author didn't give us any explicit details that actually reveal the thoughts of the old man. They could only be inferred by the old man. So we could infer that he didn't want to get rid of his rooster. His actions, he kept adding new animals that made noise every day for an entire week. Every day a new animal would join. And then the words, he said he can't get rid of the rooster. He promised he would fix it within a week. And he reminded the neighbors that all would be quiet within a week and all will be quiet in the morning. So what do I think he is? I think the old man is clever. He knew he didn't want to get rid of his noisy rooster, so he came up with a plan to how to change how the neighbors felt about the rooster. He added several noisy animals to pester the neighbors so that when he took all but the rooster away, the rooster would seem quiet. Well, when we're getting into the plot of it, let's go ahead and go through here. Well, what are some of our notes when we're wanting to identify the events? Remember, now we're looking for the events that actually led up to the neighbors finally being okay with it, that the rooster was still there. So we have, what is plot? Plot is the events in the novel or the movie or the drama or the poem or whatever it may be. What are the elements of plots? The elements are actually those 5 main things. So it's the exposition, which is the very beginning of the story, and only the characters in the setting are introduced. We have the rising action and all the events that led up to the main problem or the conflict. It's in there, and the problem is introduced in all of it, and it's normally at the beginning. Then we get to the climax. The climax is when the problem is the most intense. So the turning point of the story, like what was the last final straw that kind of broke the camel's back in the story. And then I want you to remember that the climax is not in the middle, it is towards the end of the story. We have the falling action and the events when the characters work to try to solve the problem or the conflict. And then finally, there's the resolution. It's the outcome to the end of the story. Whether it was solved or not solved, what kind of led it to get to there. We also have, how do I describe the events in depth? Well, I look for the details in the text that are including the cause and effect relationships, especially if the story's problem. So you're looking for the actual conflict and what was the problem that was identified. And be able to explain those events in order. Can't have them any which way. The cause is the reason why something happens, and the effect is what happened as a result of that. We also have the signal words that you would be looking for cause and effect relationships. So because, cause, as, so, consequently. And then we have then, impacts, or leads. We then go into why is describing a event in depth important? Well, understanding the events help you understand the story as a whole, as all together. And understanding events helps you understand the characters of the story. There's the main characters and then there's the secondary characters. So remember, secondary characters are very limited. We don't know much information about them, but they're still important to the story. So if the neighbors weren't there, they were the secondary characters, then the old man wouldn't have had a problem, and the old man was the main character. So you need those secondary characters as well. And then finally, understanding the events helps you to summarize and determine the theme. So remember, when you're summarizing, it's somebody wanted, but so then, and the theme is the central message or the main idea that the story is trying to teach you. So the theme, the overall message about life for the main character or you. So when we're getting into the plot aspects here of problem solve, well, we have our exposition. So we have the character was the old man and the setting was in a neighborhood, on a farm, neighborhood, everything. Our rising action is a rooster was crowing every morning. The neighbors complained about it, and the old man promised to fix it within a week. The old man adds new animals to the noise every day. So finally, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? What was the final event? We got all of the new animals make loud noises. The neighbors demanded the old man fix that problem. So our falling action would lead to, after a week, the old man got rid of all of the animals except for the rooster. The rooster crowed only one time, and the neighbors couldn't believe how peaceful and quiet it was. So what was the resolution? The neighbors thanked the old man for his kindness. But was he really kind? And who would have thunk that all the events in the plot diagram are in order? Mind blown. Or shall I say, fireball! 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 I love my fireballs, y'all know. Going into question time, let's see how well you did. So in the first question, which word best describes the old man? Go ahead and think about that. I'll give you about the 5 teacher seconds. And it was clever. If you were paying attention to my modeling, you would have seen how we came up with that answer and the explicit information that helped us determine that. And then next, which event led to the neighbors accepting the rooster crowing? So which event actually led to that acceptance? Think about it. 5 teacher seconds. And the old man added more noisy animals after the neighbors asked him to get rid of the rooster. So they ended up accepting it because that was the last final straw, remember? And to go in for tonight's homework, you will be doing independent work for Big City Fun. You'll be doing questions 11 through 15 on character and events. You will also be writing in the Google comments of this post that I want you to describe Emily in depth. So Emily was the main character in Big City Fun. So I want you to describe Emily in depth in the Google Classroom post that we have for this assignment. And then also you are to respond back to one of your classmates using the accountable talk to go ahead and respond to them, letting them know, are they in the right direction? What would you like to add on to them? Or are they completely off? But remember, we always are doing it respectfully. I want to remind you about your small groups participation, and you can also make up any work on any redo assignments, or if you have any questions, just go ahead and feel free to contact me. I try to get back to you guys right away, so just let me know what you need. Here is your small groups. I have changed it for a couple people that are now in group 9, got switched from 7 to 9. So if it's you, make sure that you know where you are. And that will conclude today's lesson.